If they say to us, wait there until we come to you, we will stay where we are and not go up to them. But if they say, come up to us, we will climb up, because that will be our sign that the Lord has given them into our hands. I want to preach this subject. Repeat it with me and say, moving with just a maybe. Moving with just a maybe. Jonathan says to his armor bearer something that is very profound. He says, perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. He didn't act deep as if he had gotten a divine rhema word from heaven that God was going to do it. But he said, maybe, just maybe, God will act on our behalf. Moving with just a maybe. It's no secret to any of us that we are living in a time of intense uncertainty. All around us, there are insipid signs and symbols of our anxiety and insecurity. The economy is in a sharp slide, and as Wall Street battles with its own greed, Main Street battles with its own need. The nation is immersed in two wars from which there is no easy exit. Companies are compelled to cut back because their supply outstrips their demand. The real estate market has bottomed out. Foreclosures are at an all-time high, and the stock market is strangely schizophrenic. These are uncertain times that we live in. In this climate of crass cynicism, it behooves all of us to be careful that we don't become paralyzed by the process that we're going through. Because uncertainty and anxiety have the power to stop us dead in our tracks. All of us crave certainty. We value predictability and desire life to be definite. But the truth is that uncertainty, insecurity, and ambiguity are part and parcel of everybody's life experience. It's true in our time, and it's true in our text here in 1 Samuel 14. Jonathan, the son of Saul, was caught in the throes of both difficulty and uncertainty. It was difficult because the army that stood before him was fortified and fierce. It was uncertain because the resources around him appeared to be limited and inadequate. Believe it or not, I'm already talking to somebody on your row, because as you surmise the situation that surrounds you right now, it's both difficult and uncertain. Difficult because the size of your challenge, and uncertain because of the limitations of your resources. The month outlasts the money. The resources don't match the requirement. Your strength is not equal to your struggle. Your energy is not equal to your enemies. And your capacity is not comparable to your crisis. I just need honest people to testify now, because somebody here knows what it is to be stuck in a situation where things are unclear, people are unreliable, and circumstances are unpredictable, where the direction is not definitive and you're not settled on if you should, when you should, how you should, or whether you should proceed with the plan that you have pictured. Does anybody in here know what I'm talking about? That's where Jonathan was. And yet in verse 6 of the text, he was still able to hold out hope that perhaps, that maybe the Lord would act on our behalf. He could not say with certainty, brothers and sisters, how things would turn out or if things would turn out. All he could say is maybe. And yet, in his ability to manufacture a maybe, we are taught and instructed that uncertainty, insecurity, and ambiguity are not valid excuses for our inactivity. Oh, I just said something right there. They're not valid excuses for our passivity, for our lethargy, and for our apathy. Because if you live long enough, you will walk through some weary moments, tackle some tough times, and live through some unsavory days of anxiety and ambiguity where you don't know and you can't and are not sure. And in these moments, you're going to have the guts to move with just a maybe. You see, when it's all said and done, it's not what you're in that determines the outcome, but how you see it that makes the difference. Oh, now, we're clear as people of faith that doubt is an idea. It's an emotion that has to be constantly managed. Would you just help your neighbor here and just look at him and say, neighbor, you have to deal with your doubts. You see, some believe that doubt is an element of faith and that it's impossible to have true faith without having some honest doubt. While others believe that doubt is the opposite of faith or the adversary of faith, and that whenever doubt is present, it's because our faith is weak, anemic, indolent. But in Paul's letter to the faithful at Ephesus, Paul instructs them to put on the whole armor of God. There he speaks of taking up what he calls the shield of faith, with which we can quench all of the fiery darts of the wicked. If indeed doubt is the opposite of faith, then it is faith that is needed to dispel the darts of doubt that the enemy launches in our direction. There are days when you will wake up and just be hit with doubt. And in those moments, you need a shield of faith to quench and to thwart the enemy's attempts to unravel your destiny and dismantle your advance. And I also believe that there are times when we have uncertainty, anxiety, ambiguity, and doubt, if you will, and the enemy, brothers and sisters, is not the producer. Now look at me and pay attention. There are times when we are unsure, uncertain, and unclear on what step to take and what move to make. Now, I know that this is going to rub some of you the wrong way because you want people to think and believe that your connection with God is so clear, that your relationship is so right, that your habits are so holy, and your discernment is so deep that you always know what to do, how to do, when to do, and with whom to do it. But for those of us who are not delusional, I wish I had somebody in here. For those of us who are serious and honest in our attempts to walk with God, let me say that there are times when we are not sure what step to take, when we're not sure what move to make. And we have to move out. We have to move forward and move ahead with just a maybe. Tap your neighbor and say maybe, maybe, maybe. Sometimes all we have is a sense, is a feeling, is a gut level intuition. We don't have anything concrete, anything substantial. We don't have anything reliable. And if progress is going to be made, if victory is going to be obtained, if goals are going to be achieved, we have to train ourselves to move on just a maybe. Is there anybody in here who has stepped out on faith with just a maybe? Anybody who knows what it is to move when you're less than certain? You see, all of us enjoy guarantees. But watch this. The sure thing doesn't require any faith. Oh, I think I said something right there. And Hebrews 11:6 said faith is identified as a prerequisite for pleasing God.